This episode we are covering witchcraft and the history behind the symbolism of the modern day witch and its connections to historical brewsters, female brewers of the medieval times. Everything from the cauldron to the pointy hats to the broomsticks to the black cats. I did a rhyme. First, let me start off with a quick rundown of the 14th century. Brewing is still considered a women's job. It's seen as a domestic thing. It's and also low paying and a low skill set. Therefore, it's women's work. Women mostly make it for their household, but they also tend to make some extra surplus to sell at marketplaces for a little extra income. So when they're making the ale, they use cauldrons, which is commonplace in the medieval household of the time. And to keep vermin out of their grain stores, they had cats around, so there wouldn't be any mice or rats eating their grain. When selling, they would hang a broomstick up, kind of like this, not really. This is that cinnamon one from Trader Joe's. If we had smell-o-vision, you guys would be loving this. They would hang the broomstick up to announce when the ale was ready. They would wear tall, pointy hats, which were the style back then, but they would wear black hats specifically in order to stand out in the marketplace. So it'd be easier to find your local brewster.
Nice.
Around that time, too, is when the Black Death wiped out millions of people, most of which obviously would have been peasants or,
so it's not a total loss.
Oh. Damn! No, it was a big loss because it was, England's primary workforce. But because of that, this caused this economic boom in England specifically because there was such a low supply but high demand of labor. Peasants were now able to get higher wages. Mo money, mo alehouses. Alehouses, like the modern day pubs, started to pop up because people now had more money for leisure. That led the beer making trade to become a very lucrative enterprise. And because of that, men all of a sudden wanted in. So after that, women who stayed in the business were often characterized in as gross, sloppy. People would say they blow their nose into their ale and stuff. And they'd also say women cheat their customers by watering down their ales. It's not really clear about when the actual connection between these symbols were made to witches. There's in the 17th century is really when a lot of it comes back full circle. A lot of historical books come out about the history of the witch hunts and witchcraft and all that. And so in order to save money, book printers just find all these older wood carvings that were depictions of brewsters back in the day, when they were trying to demean them and belittle them. And so they used them to illustrate the history. And so because of that, that's what eventually led to these symbols being associated with a witch. So to honor kind of that history, honor these amazing women who brought beer into our lives, we're doing a witch-themed movie.
When I heard about all, the breweries and women and witches all together, immediately I thought of Anna Biller's The Love Witch, because it's a small, not necessarily very well-known film, female director about a freaking witch. The film takes place kind of in a fake 60s, 70s era. The exact time isn't given. And it's sort of how witchcraft is viewed at that time, which, as you remember from the 60s, the occult was very big and very, fashionable. And it's interesting to look at it now, because once again, the occult is getting really big and trendy. It's so cool.
We should also mention, too, that this movie was actually shot in 2016.
Yes. You'll get confused. You'll think, no, there's no way it was, because they crafted such great details. Down to the cigarette holders is all very authentic and just beautifully done.
And so for the beer, I was at the brewery. It's called Three Weavers in Inglewood, California. It's great because it's female-owned, female-founded, and it's a fantastic brewery. The one I decided to go with is called Midnight Flight. Going back to the broomstick thing, it's like you're taking a flight on your broomstick in the middle of the night. It's a imperial stout, which means it's a heavy one. This is about twice as much alcohol as our previous beers have been. I thought it was very thematic, not just the Midnight Flight. It's very sweet, but very dangerous because of its potency. So you'll see how that fits in with this movie we're gonna watch. Yes. And I think it'll be just a fantastic, fantastic pairing.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Yay. By the way, for those of you unaware, this is called a crowler. It's like a growler, but with a C, and it's a can. They have these little fancy little machines that they punch the lid onto after filling it from the tap.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got this yesterday, so this is pretty damn fresh beer.
It's so dark, it's like purple up in here.
I love it. Cheers.
Oh, cheers. I already had a sip, I'm sorry.
You can tell right away, like, they're using this process that they did in the 70s and 60s, where they project the video of the moving, like, scenery in the background. And they're just, she's just in the car on set. It's a very classic method.
My therapist told me that I'm not unusual at all.
Yeah, we never see any therapists. We only ever see the witches. Is she calling witches her therapists?
I think so. I love that house.
I know, dang.
Oh, this beer is really good. Has like a very dark chocolatey flavor. Has some cherries in it, I feel.
Who's Jerry? The day he left me was the day that I died, and I was reborn as a witch.
She's like, you poor thing.
Yeah, right? Ooh, honey, you're not all there, are you?
Men are like children. They're very easy to please, as long as we give them what they want.
Well, that drives me crazy. Anyone would be easy to please if you give them what they want.
You sound as if you've been brainwashed by the patriarchy.
Yeah, so true.
She's like a walking, talking cosmopolitan.
Oh my god, yes. This bugged me. That's supposed to be her wedding ring. It's on her right hand.
Well, it lends itself to my theory that this doesn't take place in our actual reality.
Yeah.
Husband isn't a prince, Elaine, and life isn't a fairy tale.
I love Trish. She tells it like it is.
Maybe life could be a fairy tale if you pleased your husband more.
Jesus Christ.
She's such a bitch. I love it.
Oh my god. She's a witch bitch. I love this thing too, where she's clearly not painting it. There's like no paint on the brush.
Paint.
Yeah. There's your cauldron.
Oh, yeah. I do like the little modern take on the cauldron.
She's got a little pot within the cauldron.
Yeah, it's like a chemistry set.
Yeah.
This time period is so great for independent filmmakers because everything kind of looked cheap. Like that spell book is so cheap looking.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure someone spent many 4 hours working on it.
This is great too, because it's like you don't actually see like real like magic happening, but you see like, she's trying these herbs and chants.
Love me. Love me. Love me.
This is when you really get the first hint that like she's really damaged.
I love the shop girl.
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
She's very, it's
No
like
emotion.
60s, 70s independent film acting.
That is a lot to get from someone in a few seconds.
This actor is great. He just overdoes it. He's the antithesis of the shop lady.
Yeah.
This makes more and more sense that like it kind of is all in her imagination. And she sets it in this like 60s, 70s theme. So like the details she's thinking of turn like 70s.
Yeah.
Whereas like the cars, for example, she doesn't think about those.
Yeah. I think it's a cool way to interpret it.
But yeah, and it just makes sense to like her witchcraft and like the way these people act and all that.
I'll start the dinner.
You can see his emotional aspect coming out now. Like he's totally head over heels for her and very like emotional, and she's like, I'm gonna make the dinner, and he's kind of a little forlorn, all foreshadowing for what happens. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie.
I would love to see how this was shot. Definitely some sort of like prismatic glass overhead
Yeah.
that catches all the lights, and they have these lights set up there, and they have something on it turning either the lights or on the thing that they're shooting through.
Your coat? It's so bright!
Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Vag magic.
You have two selves.
Just like this beer has two selves. Sweet and dark, but dangerous. That is just so pretty.
Fun tidbit about the music when they go. You know what else has a similar theme? Rosemary's Baby.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
And American Horror Story Coven.
Yes!
For some reason, witches and laws.
Yeah.
Witches and laws.
Those sheets. I'm gonna bring those back up in a later scene. I love that.
I know. So beautiful.
It's so simple. All you're doing is shooting through wine glasses.
What a pussy. What
Right?
No one was ever there for me when I was crying my heart out. Drink this?
I dreamt that I was calling your name, and you didn't answer.
That'd be such an awkward situation to find yourself in. After going on one date with a guy
Yeah, he's super in
and
love with
spending the
you.
night, and then he just reacts like this.
Yeah.
Be like, I gotta catch my bus.
But you're not wearing any clothes. That's okay. So the Three of Swords actually does foreshadow pain.
The knife is clearly symbolic of men.
3 men penetrating her heart.
She definitely poisoned his tea with like kind of not thinking about it. I think it's because she gets angry that like no one came to my side when I was in pain.
I thought her love magic was just too strong. Again, beautifully shot.
Yeah, who knew a jar of urine could look so beautiful?
Howard Hughes is freaking out right now. It's so funny because everything about her seems fake. Just the way she speaks, her hair, her eyelashes, her makeup, and part of that's just like the acting, which mirrors sort of the acting at the time.
Thought that he was the one. Well, maybe next time.
I love Trish.
I met this great-looking guy. I used love magic on him. He got really...
Dead.
sick.
I mean, sick. Ugh, I hate this guy.
I didn't know this town was hostile to witches.
I love that like just witches are just a thing in this
Yeah.
world too.
That's why I think it's like an alternate reality where like witches are a thing.
We're still teaching the staples: energy grounding, earth-based spirituality, pagan arts and crafts,
It's like Hogwarts College.
and sex magic.
Are you still teaching that?
Oh.
She's not bitter at all.
Sorry we're late.
It's funny too because like there's a lot of symbolism. You see the Gemini symbol come up in later on.
Yeah. The two-faced.
The two sides of this woman and like could be the whole difference like reality versus her mind, you know.
We need to teach men how to love us using ways they can understand.
So this is where we kind of get an idea of too of how Elaine gets these thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, these are people she loves and respects.
Her so-called therapists.
And why don't you ever brush your hair?
That's why she wears a wig.
You're looking a little fatty.
And the way men controlled women was telling them that they look fat.
Do you like it when I touch you like this?
Was that supposed to be your
I
father?
think it was her father. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never hurt you.
Of course, yeah, he definitely did. It's also very telling that she's like turning herself on with that.
Yeah. Her confusion between power and abuse and sex.
So that's where you really find out like what her deal is.
Yeah.
I like it strong.
Who doesn't like strong coffee? Who's like, this
Yeah.
coffee's strong? Never mind.
When I first saw this, I thought, oh, maybe he's the one because she's like, I want a real man strong.
Yeah. She didn't even clean up at all.
Nope. It's like she wanted to get caught.
I know, I think she, like, how stupid is she? Leaving the dress is kind of incriminating.
Yeah.
And what a great dinner.
I enjoy cooking.
And brewing. And poisoning. That's also a way that men start to cut down women by saying, like, roosters were poisoning people through their brews.
I knew someone who used to love dating married guys, and she would say, clearly they're capable of loving someone.
Yeah.
So that they would be available to love her. I see that a lot in Elaine.
Look at this glass!
It's a chest.
It's as big as his face!
What turns you on?
No one's ever asked me that before. Let me think.
This is also why, like, sex therapy is important in general,
Yeah.
too. Like, you've been married for 10 years and, like, no one, including your wife, has asked you what turns you on. I love Trish, but that is, like, a big problem in their
know.
relationship.
I'm the love witch.
Hey, the movie title.
I have some more work to do.
I gotta investigate the bottom of this bottle, Trish. Look at that big old bachelorette mug.
I'm investigating a case, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions.
About what?
I wondered, and it depends on your interpretation of the film. Are her answers here calculated, or is it her natural response?
Witchcraft is my religion, which is older than your Christianity.
Why do you assume he's Christian? He could very well be Jewish or Muslim.
He could be an atheist, which is arguably the oldest.
You're the man in the card. You're my fate.
Not necessarily like your fate with love, just fate in general.
A friend of mine has a couple of horses. Do you like to ride?
That's where it's like, oh, he's kind of playing her game against her.
You're my girl, and there's nobody around to tell me otherwise.
Except me.
And what's that supposed to mean?
What do you mean you can say you're not my girl?
You don't have opinions.
What is this?
I think they reused those sheets from the one guy's bed as... God,
costumes. I love this song. Yeah. It's so stupid and so funny. Unicorns, rainbows, lucky charms. Pretending it is all so real.
That's very much in the theme of like, this is in her head.
The more you get to know a woman, the less you can feel about her.
I read an interview with the director who said so many of our information given the women from experts is the more you love a man, the less he likes you.
Yeah.
Don't text him, don't call him.
Keep the chase up.
And here we see the fruition of that come to life.
We're laying off her. Because of orders?
Because he's laying on her. Ooh.
I just know that he's gonna pop the question soon.
You're done for like 2-3 weeks max.
At the most, yeah.
I can barely stand to look at it anymore. It's too painful.
Her acting is a little less rigid in this scene. This might be because like the walls are breaking down of like fantasy versus reality.
Oh wait, she has a cell phone, I just realized.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's like another, modern, it's just in that style.
Or it's an alternate reality that takes place in modern day, where our style...
I still think it's a fantasy.
Now here's where Trish is getting a little nosy-bozy. Because she could have just put the ring was fine where she put it.
Yeah.
Leave a voicemail, leave a post-it, you know, just leave it. But she had to be nosy. It's like, oh, I'll put this ring here. Oh, let me just look through her stuff here. Yeah, this is where it gets creepy. Before it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, now here's where a line is crossed.
At least she's putting on over her current underwear, so it's not like gross and unsanitary. I was actually just noticed these. She's been in that room for like probably a good like 10 minutes at least. Well, we don't actually see her enter. She's just there all of a sudden.
You're banned for this!
Die.
And like you think she's actually gonna make her crash. I think this is because like her hatred is not towards women, is towards the men who run, towards men. And that's also why like Trish was able to get the knife out of her hand so easily. And like Elaine didn't fight back so much as she could have. Her rage is more geared towards men.
Oh Hebondia, bind these two with a heady lover's brew.
With a heavy lover's brew.
The DNA came back from the lab. Connects you with Wayne Peters.
So this is where it gets confusing, because he was in love with her and then she did cast a spell to make him in love with her more.
She's even there like knowing that something's wrong. Like, it's like, what happened?
I didn't kill anyone.
Well, unless it turns out she had poisoned them.
Yeah, true.
What you call love is a borderline personality disorder.
That's fucking right!
Only you men didn't make us work so hard for your love. You just love us for ourselves.
Oh, this is where she's starting to break down a little bit.
No.
So I decided to find my own power. That means that I take what I need from men and not the other way around.
Yeah,
that's what
you tell him, sister.
Well, that's when it all comes out.
I guess, it would it does lend to your fantasy idea that it's all in her head, because that's how you would feel when you're being under attack. You feel like everyone's attacking you, everyone's shouting, like
kind of escaping as escapism, thinking that it's like a burning.
That's a fear.
A witch burning,
That's a fear she would have, burning the witch, being raped.
Don't worry. Everything will be okay.
She's saying things that she wishes he would say to her, I think, in this instance.
I love this coming up.
Oh, yeah, this is so good. Just, the death skull,
Where she sees his death and as well as her own.
Yep.
In that.
I love you, Elaine.
And it's also where she realizes the fantasy is better than the reality. So what she does is kill the reality.
Keep the fantasy.
3 stabs, too, in the heart.
Oh,
just like
shit,
the card. And just like the painting, of course.
And here's where I was at. I thought for sure this film was going to have a happy-esque ending. I thought for sure that, he was going to marry her, and then it would be years later he'd realize it was all magic.
Oh, yeah. I figured she would have to pay for what she's done.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. So I knew it wasn't gonna be all butterflies and roses and everything. For her, even. This is the part where she's just totally broken down, where this is an overt act of murder, not just, poisoning
Passive,
or like driving a man to suicide, This is legitimate murder.
Like,
She's gonna be caught.
You can be on her side for all of the everything else throughout the movie, except for here.
Did you have I like how the
Were those
music
the same?
isn't playing there.
Yeah.
And that really symbolizes like her fantasy, like she's not actually hearing the music.
Suddenly it's a unicorn and not a horse.
Yeah. With a really cheap horn attached to it.
I mean, a unicorn's a unicorn in my book, man.
You can see the horn bounce independently of the horse.
Damn!
And so she like just kind of dissolves into her fantasy world. What are your final thoughts, Marissa?
I really love this kind of film. I love this era. I love witch films. So this is right up my alley. So I keep having evolving thoughts of like, oh, well, it could be this. It could be, it could be her own fantasy. It could be an alternate reality.
Yeah.
It could be, just, it could take place in the 70s.
There could actually be witchcraft in this world that she's using, or she's just subconsciously like putting poison in or something that she's not she doesn't.
Yeah, Wayne could have had a heart attack independently.
Yeah.
Richard could have killed himself independently, or was she doing too much with her witchcraft? Is she a sociopath, or is she inadvertently a victim of her own circumstances? But yet then when you get to that final scene, it's something altogether different. I was just thinking this too. In a way, witchcraft did kill him, because had she not been involved in witchcraft, she would not have seen his, the death card as meaning something. She would not have seen the skull as meaning something.
She would never have killed the teacher, which never would have had him investigate her to begin with.
Yeah, so in a way he was still killed by witchcraft even when he wasn't. So
yeah, even if witchcraft was or wasn't actually involved in the movie, depending on how you interpret it. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting movie. Like, it's hilarious in a way just because, like, it's so bizarre in many ways. You don't expect it, but then it's so fascinating to watch it again and again just to see, like, the different angles it could be interpreted.
Yep. And I love the way that it takes what we view as heteronormative relationships, or as they are belied in the media or in Cosmopolitan and advice magazines, of women being so subservient, giving men everything they want. Here's a woman who gives men everything they want and it kills them.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, like, hey man, is this what you actually want? Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, like, just all the different nuances in that, like, of how you could take certain things.
Yeah, and I loved watching it with you, because it was fun seeing the different interpretation.
Yeah.
It's a really cool seeing the way that different people, and I was scouring the internet to see like what other people thought of it, and there was no one collective, this is what it is. There were so many different interpretations.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, and some could argue that's a good or a bad thing of a movie. Like, some might say, oh, well, it should be clearly defined of what its interpretation is. But others find that fun to just, kind of put their own meaning to it. The spear was fantastic with it.
Yeah, it was so good with it.
Wish we had a little bit more, but that's probably for the best. It's literally about midnight now.
Midnight flight.
Midnight flight. We've pretty much drinking a flight's worth of of beer, more than that actually. Again, like, it's very perfect because, like, it poses as this, like, very sweet, very drinkable beer, but it's super, very alcoholic, and just very much like Elaine, how she poses this as, like, sweet thing, and but then she's very toxic and potent.
Yeah, I didn't think I was drinking that much until I got to the end, and I thought, okay. So that's an entire growler.
Oh yeah.
We don't actually have a video for next month, so if you have any recommendations or anything that you're dying to see,
or a beer too, please comment below. We would love some suggestions of what to do for the next future months. But until then, we hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun for us to do. Nighttime, and we are getting sleepy because of that. So we are gonna call it a night, but we hope you enjoyed in the historical trip and the trip that was this movie.
My mind was blown, and I had a lot of fun.
Yes. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and happy Halloween.